Let's get started with our first news. Arman has made it clear that when it comes to grappling, he simply cannot afford to mess up. While there's still no confirmation on when he will return to the UFC octagon, the rising contender has been keeping himself active by taking on grappling matches. This Friday in Moscow, he's set to face former UFC star Benson Henderson in a highly anticipated showdown, and he knows the stakes are high. Speaking to Red Corner MMA, Arman explained that losing is not an option because if he slips up, fight fans will never let him hear the end of it. He said, "I have a serious opponent, I can't afford to mess up. If I lose, people won't let me get away with it. So I have to go out and show 100% and be ready. This will be a 10-minute bout without a break. It's not easy, so I take it professionally." Those words underline the level of focus Arman is bringing into this contest. Grappling matches may not carry the same spotlight as UFC main events, but for him, every performance matters. Every mistake, every slip will be remembered, and that pressure is exactly what pushes him to stay sharp. Since his cancelled UFC 311 headliner against Islam Makhachev, Arman hasn't allowed himself to sit idle. Instead, he has stepped into 3 separate grappling matches, each one giving him a reason to stay disciplined and motivated. For a fighter at his level, staying consistent and active outside of official UFC fights is crucial. These grappling contests have given him both the competitive edge and the mental toughness to stay prepared for when the UFC finally calls him back. The Moscow event will be another test, not just of his grappling skills, but of his ability to handle the weight of expectation. Fans know that Arman is a fighter who thrives under pressure, but he also understands the unforgiving nature of the sport. If he wins, it will remind the MMA world that he's staying ready for the next big UFC opportunity. If he loses, the backlash from fans could be relentless. That is why he treats this match as if everything is on the line. Arman's mindset is clear. This isn't just a grappling match. It's another step in his journey to remain sharp, focused, and prepared for the moment he gets the call to return to the UFC spotlight. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Aspinall has been paying close attention to Gane ever since that submission loss to Jon Jones back in 2023. That fight exposed clear holes in Gane's ground game, but according to Aspinall, those weaknesses may no longer be there. Ahead of their UFC 321 heavyweight title fight, Aspinall admitted that he wouldn't be surprised if Gane comes in with a new approach, possibly even trying to take him down. It's a surprising thought for many, but for Aspinall, nothing in MMA can ever be ruled out. Speaking in an interview with Bloody Elbow, Aspinall explained his mindset going into the matchup. He said, "I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to take me down. It's MMA, so I'm preparing for everything. I work with really high-level guys in all aspects. I'm comfortable anywhere, and I'll take the path of least resistance, however that looks on the night." Those words highlight just how prepared Aspinall feels heading into the fight. For him, whether the fight stays standing or turns into a grappling battle, he's ready to adapt instantly. He went on to point out that Cyril's loss to Jones may have been exactly what he needed to force evolution in his game. We've seen that Cyril has holes in his ground game, but he's improved. Stuff like that gives you an opportunity to get better. I wouldn't be surprised if we get into a lot of grappling exchanges this time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have a straight-up stand-up fight either. You've got to be ready for anything in MMA, and I'm preparing for everything. Those comments show the level of respect Aspinall has for his opponent. Despite being known primarily as a striker, Gane has reportedly been working hard on improving the areas where he's been criticized most. Losing to Jones in such a dominant way may have been a wake-up call, and now fans could see a version of Gane that is far more complete. Aspinall, on the other hand, is no stranger to preparing for the unexpected. He knows that Gane and his team may have taken notes from his own performances, especially after that moment when Rico Verhoeven managed to take him down. Whether Gane will be motivated to try the same tactic remains to be seen, but Aspinall refuses to leave anything to chance. His training camp has focused on making him sharp in all areas: striking, wrestling, grappling, and conditioning. The UFC has already released the official poster for the event, and excitement continues to build for what promises to be a massive clash at UFC 3021. For Aspinall, this isn't just another fight. It's about proving once again that he belongs at the very top of the heavyweight division. And for Gane, it's the chance to show that he's not the same fighter who struggled on the ground against Jones. Both men have something to prove, and when the cage door closes, the only thing guaranteed is that fans are in for a high-stakes battle between two of the best heavyweights in the world. Move on to another news. Bisping has made it clear that he fully agrees with Dana White on the Jon Jones situation. Even though Dana has often called Jones the greatest fighter of all time, he's been reluctant to place him on the upcoming UFC White House card next summer. The reasoning is simple. Dana wants fighters he can rely on, fighters who step up when it matters most. He pointed to Conor as the perfect example, reminding everyone how Conor didn't blink when Jose Aldo pulled out of UFC 189. Instead of hesitating, Conor stepped forward without fear, and that's the kind of reliability Dana values. According to Bisping, you can't fault Dana for his stance. Speaking on his Believe You Me podcast alongside Paul Felder, Bisping broke it down. He said, "I don't blame him. You can't blame the man. What did he do? He promoted him. He stuck to his guns. This is the pound-for-pound #1. They even put that video package out. They gave him the $30 million apparently to fight Aspinall. I don't know if that's true, but apparently that's the number floating around. And then in the end, he decides to double barrel, middle fingers, go off to Thailand, live his best life, mess everyone around, have Tom Aspinall waiting on the sidelines for bloody God knows how long. Then when a big opportunity like UFC White House comes along, he's like, oh, hold on. Let's not be too hasty. I want a piece of that. If that was me, I'd say go yourself." Bisping's comments echoed the frustrations many in the sport have felt. Jones reportedly balked at fighting Aspinall even after the UFC met his demands, which only added fuel to Dana's decision. For a company that thrives on moments where fighters step up under pressure, Jones's repeated reluctance has made him a risk. Dana has also brought up the infamous UFC 151 incident back in 2012. That was when Chael Sonnen stepped in on short notice after Dan Henderson pulled out, but Jones refused to take the fight. The event ended up being canceled, something Dana has never forgotten. To him, that moment proved Jones was not someone you could always count on, and now, more than a decade later, it still hangs over his head. The UFC White House card is being built as one of the biggest shows in company history, and Dana needs fighters who will not falter under the spotlight. That's why Conor's name has been pushed forward, and why Aspinall is being lined up as a reliable headliner. Jones may have the talent, the resume, and the accolades, but reliability is everything in this business. Bisping understands it, Dana understands it, and that's why Jones remains on the outside looking in when it comes to one of the UFC's most historic events. Move on to another news. Bisping has made it clear who he believes will get the next shot at Alexander Volkanovski's featherweight title, and in his eyes, it's not Aljamain Sterling. After the chaos of UFC Noche, the entire title picture was flipped upside down. Diego Lopez stole the show with a jaw-dropping spinning TKO over Gene Silva, a result that shocked fans around the world. Silva was heavily favored going into that fight, and many believed that if he had won, the sheer hype around him would have been enough to push him directly into a title shot. But now, with Silva out of the way, the conversation has narrowed down to two names, Lerone Murphy and Aljamain Sterling. Bisping believes his countryman Lerone Murphy has already locked down that opportunity. Fans have been screaming his name ever since his highlight reel knockout over Aaron Pico, a finish that had the entire MMA community buzzing. Murphy remains undefeated, and each time he steps into the octagon, he looks sharper, more confident, and far more dangerous. According to Bisping, that kind of momentum is exactly what earns you a title shot. He is convinced that Murphy will be the one to challenge Volkanovski next, and he doesn't see Sterling getting the call despite his big win at UFC Noche. Sterling, the former bantamweight champion, certainly has a strong case. He moved up to featherweight and dominated Brian Ortega in a one-sided performance. While the fight wasn't the most exciting showcase, Sterling proved he could handle top competition at 145 ounces. Afterward, he wasted no time in calling out Volkanovski for a crack at the belt, but Bisping doesn't think the UFC will go in that direction just yet. Instead, he sees Sterling's next fight being against Diego Lopez, who needs to stay active following his explosive win. Bisping explained that this matchup makes sense on multiple levels. Sterling is ranked in the top 5. He's a former champion and he brings name value. For Lopez, a fight with Sterling would be massive, giving him another chance to prove that his star-making win at UFC Noche wasn't a one-off. It's a fight that keeps both men relevant in the title picture, while clearing the path for Murphy to face Volkanovski. The atmosphere at UFC Noche only added to the drama. The Mexican crowd was electric, roaring for their fighters all night long. Every Mexican fighter on the card went undefeated, and when the main event began, the energy was so intense it felt like the arena itself was shaking. The production wasn't on the same level as the previous year at the Sphere, where Dana White spent millions, but the event still delivered a spectacle. For Bisping, the conclusion is simple. Murphy is NX for the title, Sterling should fight Lopez, and the featherweight division is shaping up to deliver some of the most exciting matchups we've seen in years. The division feels alive, the contenders are hungry, and the road to Volkanovski's belt has never been more unpredictable. Move on to another news. Ever since Bisping revealed some behind-the-scenes details about Khamzat, the MMA community hasn't stopped talking. On his YouTube channel, Bisping explained that people close to Khamzat told him they often have to keep him in check because of his sweet tooth and lack of discipline. According to the story, even when a huge fight was just around the corner, Khamzat would sneak candy bars into his room. They'd open up a drawer and find 20 of them stacked up, only to remind him, "Hey, you've got a championship fight in 2 weeks, this is not a cheat day." Despite those concerns, Khamzat still managed to capture UFC gold, going 5 rounds against Duplessis. But that performance hasn't silenced the debate. Some fans and analysts argue that Duplessis never forced Khamzat into a grueling pace, spending much of the fight on his back. Because of that, people are still questioning whether Khamzat's cardio issues are truly fixed or if his discipline might cost him when he faces an opponent who pushes him harder. When asked about the chatter, Khamzat brushed it off, saying he doesn't care what people think or gossip about. For him, the focus is on himself, not outside noise. But now Joe Rogan has weighed in, and his perspective has added even more fuel to the conversation. On a recent episode of his podcast, Rogan broke it down in his own way. He said Khamzat's a freak, man. He just needs to be a little more disciplined, bro. Bro, discipline is RT. Yeah, I think it is because it's beautiful for me to see when I see someone who's really truly disciplined. Someone like David Goggins who just maximizes the grind. I feel like there's an ART to that. Rogan also took aim at the idea of fighters claiming they don't care what people think. He said that "I don't give a fuck stuff, that's nonsense. People say it because it bothers them, so they try to act like it doesn't. The truth is you do care. You care if people are critical, you care if they're positive, and you also care when people are living positive lives and motivating you." For Rogan, people themselves are fuel. The way others live, the way they push themselves, it all plays a role in driving you forward. He explained that it's one of the reasons why he loves conversations, why he loves podcasts, because sharing energy and motivation through discipline is powerful. So while Khamzat may insist he doesn't care about opinions, the conversation around his discipline isn't going away. With fighters, fans, and voices like Rogan all weighing in, his sweet tooth and training habits have become part of his story. And as his career continues, every performance will either silence the doubts or fuel them even further. Move on to another news. Merab is determined to deliver something special when he steps into the octagon against Corey Sandhagen at UFC 320. After snapping his 5-fight decision streak with a submission win over Sean Ali back in June, Merab now has his eyes set on another finish. This time, he wants a knockout. Speaking with MMA Junkie in an interview facilitated by Stake, Merab made it clear that while people may think this fight is an easy one for him, the reality is very different. He emphasized that Corey Sandhagen is a dangerous opponent, someone he respects deeply both as a fighter and as a person. But respect doesn't mean holding back. Merab said he has been sharpening his striking, and this fight will likely play out on the feet. He's ready to exchange punches, and his goal is to score a knockout. Still, he reminded everyone that this is MMA and anything can happen. He is preparing for all possibilities, whether that's striking, grappling, or going the distance. Backing up Merab's confidence, his coach John Wood gave his own insight in an interview earlier this week. According to Wood, fans are about to witness a whole different version of Merab. He explained that the goal is no longer just to win, but to create entertaining and devastating performances. He promised that the fight with Sandhagen will be brutal, high energy, and fun to watch. While his immediate focus is on Sandhagen, Merab didn't shy away from talking about the bigger picture. He revealed that he wants one more fight before the year ends, and he's keeping a close eye on the upcoming matchup between Umar Nurmagomedov and Mario Bautista. That fight could very well determine the next #1 contender unless Petr Yan gets the opportunity first. When asked about the bantamweight landscape, Merab didn't mince words. He said he hopes Bautista beats Umar because he feels Bautista is the most deserving fighter. With an impressive win streak and victories over quality opponents, Bautista has proven himself. And Merab didn't hold back when taking a subtle jab at Umar, saying Bautista's cousin's name isn't Khabib, which means he actually has to earn his shot the hard way. According to Merab, Bautista might need a 9-fight win streak just to be considered, while others have secured title shots after much less impressive streaks against weaker competition. So far, there's been no response from Umar or his team regarding Merab's comments, but with tensions rising in the bantamweight division heating up, the implications of these fights are massive. In a lighter moment, news surfaced this week involving Ben Askren. While Askren was in a coma, Merab defeated Sean Ali at UFC 316. When he learned about the outcome, Askren reacted on social media with his trademark humor. He said, "Wow, I just realized Merab beat Sean again while I was sleeping. Sean should have really taken more time to work on his wrestling." Now with UFC 320 just around the corner, all eyes are on Merab and Sandhagen. The matchup promises to be explosive, and Merab's vow to deliver a knockout has only added more fuel to the anticipation. This isn't just another fight, it's a statement, a chance for Merab to show the world the evolution of his game and prove why he belongs at the very top.